Oh, righty. Can you hear me, my good friend? Hello?
I can't hear you if you're
Oh,
talking
no.
to me.
Oh, no.
I saw your lips moving.
Oh, no. Okay, hang on. Hang on. I think the stream can hear me. I don't think...
It might be me. It might be me.
Let's take a look-see here. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go.
Nice.
You know, I had an immature thought about 10 minutes ago, which was we're not going to have any issues today. There won't be any issues with the stream today.
You know, I don't even think it would be right if we didn't have any. Like, earnestly. You know, I think that would be... We'd be moving too far away from, I think, what we've established here.
I have to assume that at some point what will happen is the lore will evolve and people will then claim that we purposefully have the audio issues. It's like they do it on purpose.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I like that.
Well,
who says we're not already doing that?
Ooh, how would you feed that already? All right. Larissa says, new layout. I'm sorry, my friend. You just haven't been here in a while. This has been the layout for a while. It's been about 4 years. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know when we broke out this little layout. But yeah. So here we are. It's our Friday stream. My friend, how are you today?
Doing good. It was I don't know what the weather's like over in your neck of the woods, but it was feeling really nice outside. Yeah. So I went outside for a walk, and then it literally started raining.
Yeah, it's one of those like interesting like spring rains, like where it's like sunny and yet raining.
Yeah.
You know? My hat says Alaska. It was a gift from my father-in-law, and I didn't own any hats, and so I was like, all right, I like it. I'm going to wear it. I like Alaska.
You didn't own any hats? I feel like you used to be not like a hat guy.
Yeah.
Nobody get me wrong. Blake wasn't a hat guy, but I think of what I'm thinking of is just one in particular, the
Who's hat?
autographed one.
Oh, the fuel hat
Yeah,
from
yeah.
years ago. Man,
Yeah. Which one were you thinking I was about to say?
I think you're talking about the Who's hat from that college trip, the white hat that said Who's on the top.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know what happened to that one. The what he's talking about is I had a Green Bay hat as a kid that had Fuel, the band Fuel, sign the bill of it, and then I lost it at summer camp. I think it.
Like went in the lake or something, right?
Yeah, I think I was at like one of the lake activities and I lost it and couldn't find it.
But how did you go to their concert or something? How did you even get that?
Yeah, I did go to their concert. Yes,
You like met them?
I guess so. I honestly don't remember. I was so young. I mean, I would have been maybe like, I don't know, dude, like 11, 12, maybe 13, you know, somewhere around there. And I honestly have no recollection of the concert other than just like a random image in my mind of like seeing the band.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. As you get older, you're like, what was that? What happened there?
Yeah.
So I don't really remember it, honestly. And I guess at some point it got signed. Part of me actually wonders, now that I think about it, part of me wonders if my buddy got it signed, Patton Valance, if he got it signed for me.
And
I think he either took me, this is how bad the memory is, either he took me and he offered to help me get it signed and he did, or I couldn't go and he took my hat and got it signed. Because like now that I start to think about it, I'm like, why don't I remember anything from that? And I was
maybe
like,
you never went.
yeah, I was like, did I actually go to it? So, I don't know.
Wonder what Patton's up to these days.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, did you watch the wrap up last night?
Yeah, I didn't. I guess I'm like an old man, so I kind of cashed out at about 11 p.m. So I don't know how much longer it went on beyond that, but
It didn't go too
I didn't
much.
see all of it.
Yeah, it didn't go too much longer after that. I think it wrapped up around 12:30, maybe 1.
Okay.
So actually, yeah, I guess it did go a little longer than 11.
I never saw Brennan,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotcha.
so I missed. Were all the Divergence cast
No,
there?
just Brennan.
Okay.
But it was a good little, good Q&A, on
Yeah.
his process, and he asked a couple of good questions, like for the cast, if you could swap out one of your campaign characters with one of the EXU and Downfall mini stories, which character would be like the worst to swap in? And I think like Marisha said Bo for Calamity. I was like, this would be a disaster.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of good answers around that.
Okay, I'm gonna have to finish it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. There weren't any like huge banger of like reveals that I was curious about, but just like some good little notes and details and and things like that are kind of fun to see behind the curtain.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely. I mean, we pretty much already knew this, but by mostly Matt's answers, like it's clear that Xandria's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think.
Yeah.
Likely, it seems like C4 will take place there. Just the way they were talking about. I mean, who knows? Who knows, really? But at least it'll be around in one-shots and side stories, if not the main campaign, based on how he was talking about it.
And speaking of, this Q&A gave me more fuel for my Bells Hells Are Evil video that I'm working on. There was a part where
specifically?
Well, there's a part where Robbie said something like, what's like the implication now of the gods being gone? Or like, what can we expect? And Matt said something to the effect of, you're going to see a rise of demigods and cults and people who've been like waiting in the shadows to now seize power now that the gods are gone. And Robbie goes, oh, so this was like really bad then, like having the gods leave. And Matt goes, it's interesting. And I was like, what a DM answer. But anyway.
Fair enough.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens in Campaign 4. When do you think, what was the break between C2 and C3?
I'm guessing, did they make any announcement about anything?
Not that I saw. Or not that I remember.
I mean, I would imagine it. I mean, I don't know, and I don't remember what the break was between the other campaigns, but I would imagine at least a few months. And I
Yeah.
would imagine maybe even a longer break than normal because they do so many other things now.
Yeah.
Like maybe they want to use this time to do more other things. I'd say like maybe let's see. Do you remember when campaign 3 started? Was it like October?
Yeah. It was sometime in the fall.
I could see it being that again,
Yeah. I could see the same
which
thing.
is like what, like 6 months from now?
I'd be pretty content with like a 6-month break. Just let all the juices kind of refill. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but
I mean,
yeah,
I think especially, I mean, not, I didn't expect them to announce it last night,
yeah.
but I think especially if they didn't give any type of tease or hint at all, then I would lean more 6 months than 3 months.
Ivo said, "Did you guys think that they were unnecessarily vague about answers? That like, if there was a time for answer, it was the wrap up, and they were like, should I save it for later?"
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a lot of that.
Yeah, and then Ivo later, and Ivo, you can let me know if I'm saying your name wrong. I'm staring at them like, bro, the game is over. Ashton, you can tell that specific childhood story you were cagey about. The season ended. I love this. I love this question. Yeah, I know personally for me, there was actually there was like some like generic chatter around this, and then there was like naturally some pretty toxic Reddit drama around this. But
I'm sure.
all I'll say is, yeah, I think there definitely could have been more forthcoming about certain details. I didn't really have much of an opinion on it. I was kind of just like, well, bummer. Didn't get an answer there. The only thing I thought was I'm such like a lore junkie for this stuff that as they had more fun with it, there was a point where like at the very start where like Marisha was like, we haven't even answered one question. I was like, come on, let's get the questions in here. I want to hear the answers. But that even saying that's just as a joke. I wasn't actually having an issue with it. But yeah, I mean, I have to assume they have so much content they're planning long term that they really want to protect some of those details.
Yeah.
What was your take with it?
The same, basically. I remember the first campaign wrap up was amazing because I like Matt really gave like a lot of answers and like it was just different a little bit. And the second one was way different because of COVID, so they had to do it differently. I don't even think they fielded questions from fans. Maybe they did, but it wasn't in the same way. So ever since the second campaign wrap up, I kind of figured they would skew more that way. So I kind of went into this one expecting not to get as many of the cool answers compared to C1, but yeah, I feel the same way. But I think you're right that it's intentional and purposeful because they want to potentially explore those things. Maybe even in one shots, you know.
And I have to assume that part of it is there's the world has grown so much. There's probably a genuine element of like, I have an idea, but I don't really know. Or like the idea that I have, I'm not really sure if I want that to be the answer until I've played around with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of cool. Matt got an answer. I don't know if this was in the first half or second half, but Matt got asked a question of like, how soon did you know campaign 3 was Ruidus? And he said, campaign 1 is when I first had the idea of Predathos and was kind of thinking that through, which think about like how much time he cooked this thing. But he said, you know, when I created Ludinus in C2, I didn't really know. I hadn't really fleshed out Ludinus until campaign 3 was rolling around and I began to kind of piece these connections together. So I could see him in part of the creative experiment of it all, not wanting to be like, well, A, B, C, and D, because it, in some ways, maybe he wants to play around with it some more.
Yeah, no, that's like the beauty and the fun of D&D as a DM, and as, like writing as well. You know, like if you have these ideas, you don't necessarily know what you're going to do with them, and then like all these things click like way down the line, like it all just fits perfectly together. So I definitely understand him not wanting to box himself into any corners by saying anything offhand in a wrap up.
Yeah. Yeah, and Larissa said there's typically between 3 and 4 months between campaigns in the past, and campaign 2 wasn't announced until like a week or two before. I could definitely see them, like we mentioned, about 6 months from now, like maybe they're probably going to try to get like a cadence to it of like maybe every fall is the start of a new campaign or something.
Yeah.
depending on when it ends, I guess. But Mara in Iowa said the clips were fun. I really like the clips too. Though some of them I was like,
Yeah.
no, this is content for the channel. What are you guys doing? You're stealing the compilation I was thinking of. So
Yeah, that was fun. It felt very much like a sitcom.
mm-hmm.
Like I can't, you know what I'm talking about, like the recap episodes almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I don't remember when the dates are for this world tour. But I wonder if they would wait till after that was done.
Mm-hmm. The final one, let's see here.
I think it's like at the end of the year, so I don't know if they would wait that long.
Well, the wedding, yeah, I don't think it's going to be, the wedding's the last one, right?
I think so.
Let's see here real quick. Because we have the one in Chicago. Or no, Richmond is into this month. Chicago's next month. June is the Australia ones. Oh, no. Yeah. October is New York. Okay, so October. October is the wedding.
Oh, then I could see that then.
Yeah.
Like maybe coincide with ending that tour, announcing like, hey, by the way, 2 weeks, campaign 4 launches.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, who knows? I was gonna say I doubt it, but I mean, truly, who knows? They might have started recording campaign 4 next week, but then they just will start releasing it 6 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be crazy, actually, if they had 30 episodes recorded before they even started premiering it.
Yeah, I think the only counter to that is I think they said recently they're going to be recording Sam's miniseries, which seems to be on the docket next. And I think they said they're recording that next week or beginning to record it, which I'm really excited about too. I haven't ever seen Sam in the DM chair.
He's done a couple one-shots that have been pretty fun.
Yeah,
so
okay.
yeah, I'm interested to see that as well.
Yeah. Do you envision any cast changes for C4?
Aside from Robbie?
Yeah. Did we get confirmation if Robbie's coming back or not?
Not in what I was watching, I don't think.
I know Travis said, hey, the chat's spamming this. We will have Robbie as much as people want or something like that. But it was, to Ivo's point, it was kind of an answer, non-answer.
Yeah.
So.
I'm sure it's entirely on him. I think the invitation seems to be there should he want it, but I mean, he's a busy dude. So
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I don't know. I mean, it's inevitable at some point, right? But I feel like we're not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I could see more of what happened in this campaign. Could there even be a quote unquote new Robbie? Another new guest that's as frequent as he is? I could see that. I don't see any of the main cast leaving yet, though.
Yeah, there was something so uniquely special about Robbie. I don't envision that seat having a rotating seat for semi-permanent guests, but it's also possible. I wouldn't be against it. It was special having Robbie at the table. Eric says Robbie implied that he wouldn't be on full time, so I guess there you go.
Guess he doesn't love us.
Larissa said, "Any theories on the Sam series? Any guesses?"
Not really.
What kind of stuff has he done in the past?
So there was this. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a Fast and the Furious car kind of And y'all correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm getting my wires crossed here. Sorry, somebody's calling me. Where it was they were animals racing cars or something. So that one was pretty crazy. There was one that was again, I don't know how to it was like a bar that they all came into. And then did he do the Wendy's one shot? The infamous Wendy's one shot? He was in it. I can't remember if he DM'd it though. Do you know what I'm talking about with that?
Yeah. Is there any trace of that still, or
I think they took it all down. I think you could probably find it if you know how to finesse the internet, but yeah, not easy to find. But he's a good DM.
What's like the feel of his series or his one shots?
They've all been kind of zany,
Yeah,
for
okay.
sure.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I don't know if that's what this will be necessarily. I mean, it's Sam, so probably to some extent.
It's like an emotionally gut wrenching like counter to Calamity. So, who knows, man?
I was reading Crash Pandas. Yes, that was right.
Okay. Okay. Uh, lots of puns. I could see that. And then circling back, Ivo mentioned regarding Campaign 3, I got the impression that Sam was very aware that some characters had arcs and answers abound about their story, while FCG was supposed to wait around for 100 eps to get to anything. And this is specifically a criticism that was on the subreddit. So to give a little more context here, there was a question around FCG's story, and Matt basically said if Sam had made it, if FCG had made it to Aor, there would have been a lot of stuff there. And this is not an exact quote. So one of the critiques that came up on the subreddit then was my words, not necessarily anyone else's words, was as I understood it, the critique was how was that fair to Sam's story to have to wait so many episodes to get such compelling content around FCG. What's your take on that?
I think that's an unfair criticism. Like, like it's different between FCG and Breas. Like, it's just a story, right? You don't crack the first Harry Potter book and expect all the answers in the first book. Like, like this is a story that's going to span several years, and not only we have 9 main characters, much less one. Like, I think that makes sense, and I completely understand where Matt's coming from. Like, you can't just like give the player their entire feast immediately, and even if you were, there's 7 other players that you got to get through anyway. So it makes sense to me that the bulk of FCG's story would have been in Aor, and unfortunately, that didn't come until 100 episodes in. But like, I don't know. I think I don't think that's a fair criticism of Matt.
I'll give like a middle ground answer, I guess, in that I think we did get quite a bit of great FCG insights along the way.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Like, there was stuff along the way.
Yeah, I thought there were some really cool developments and insights, and I am satisfied with FCG's story in that I love the way he went out and all the details leading up to it, I guess. The criticism that I understand is sort of unrelated to Sam or FCG, but rather it felt like the narrative of Predathos was so intense and so central that it made it difficult to really indulge in other storylines and character storylines unless that storyline was front and center part of Predathos. So like Imogen's a really great example, directly tied to Predathos. Fern directly tied to Predathos with Zethuda. And so it's not even so much of a critique on my end other than just, or it's not a harsh criticism. It is a critique in that I would have enjoyed more space to explore some of these characters. Though
That's
I don't
fair.
though I don't feel like they weren't explored, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an answer,
That-
non-answer.
That criticism, I could that makes way more sense to me. But because campaign 3 was definitely that way compared to the previous 2, especially campaign 1. Campaign 1 had it felt like it had several. I mean, you know this because you've seen Legend of Vox Machina now. Several distinct arcs. Although Legend of Vox Machina is kind of funneling it for a TV show, but there was a Vex and Vax arc. Then we had a Grog arc. It felt very much because of the overarching world-ending threat that everything in C3 kind of had to be funneled through that lens. So yeah, I definitely felt that.
Well, and I one of my favorite characters was Ashton, and there was so much I feel like left uncovered. Though again, I feel relatively satisfied with where that storyline ended, and that it didn't necessarily need to be exposed, like the true nature of his dad and all of that stuff. But I wouldn't have said no to an entire arc of like his dad's still alive, still out there, and and even Taliesin mentioned, in the wasn't in the wrap up, it was in the tailgate of like, man, I wish we could have explored more of the nobodies, which he was just commenting in general. But point being, Talison's Ashton's story was not central to Predathos, and so it didn't seem like it got the same. It didn't get as much attention as I would have enjoyed.
Yeah. Yeah. This campaign just had the most outside pressure pushing the party a certain direction, whereas previous campaigns had that at times, but there were also times where it's like, what do we want to do next? And so like anyone could take the focus any particular way, because there wasn't like, we're on a clock for the world ending right now.
I'm excited for campaign 4 to for there to be like a different vibe, I guess.
Yeah.
Of like, which megalomaniac do we want to go topple next? I don't know. Yeah. Just like, what do we want to go do? And I'm very curious about, like, what will it be, a time skip? What will kind of like be the nature of the world? And I think it would be really interesting. I wonder if they'll publish any kind of like campaign 4 setting post Catatheos. I don't know what they're going to call what happened, if they're going to refer to it as the ritual, but that would be really cool. So
I'm sure they will, and that's my question too. Like, how much of a time skip is there going to be? Because they could really go crazy if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like on one hand they might want to distance themselves, and they're not, like I talked about earlier, they're clearly not distancing from Exandria, but given that campaign 3 was this big culmination of the last 10 years, maybe they don't want to like even have the pressure of like, well, what's Keyleth up to now? Like what's Bell's Hell's doing? So if they go 300 years in the future, then I don't know. I guess it could be anything.
I feel like the impression I got is that Matt in the group are relatively satisfied leaving. Like, I wouldn't expect, and I know you weren't saying this, but I wouldn't expect to see cameos in C4 or, other than like maybe, I mean, as a DM, you can't help it. You love the feeling of like little breadcrumbs that connect, so we might see a statue to, I don't know. Maybe the party eventually makes it to Rumble Cusp and there's PopCon going on, or, I don't know what's happening, but anyway.
I think it's definitely a cycle, right? Because C2 didn't have any connections at all. And then C3 had all of these. So I imagine now it'll maybe be a time where there's not any, but maybe campaign 5, campaign 6, maybe we have Avengers in-game part 2 or something, But yeah.
I'm sure we'll do like a separate video. Well, actually, I won't talk about Divergence then, in case we end up doing a deeper discussion on it. But so I'll just take that question away as I was about to ask about it. But I would love to see more Brennan in C4, and man, he's really like, when they have a mini series, like he's pretty good at this thing.
Yeah,
he's pretty good at it. So
he is.
It's crazy.
I randomly watched he did one of those Wired Google videos. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I watched that too. It's crazy that when they were talking about like everything over campaign 3, I forgot that Calamity was part of campaign 3.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
I know. That was weird seeing all those clips. Like, it felt like different lives.
Yeah.
During all that time, but it was all C3.
Mm-hmm.
Even just seeing all of the Halloween costumes. Like,
yeah. Yep. Ivo said Luis Carrazzo and Christian Navarro are launching their own actual play show, DM'd by Luis, called Tales Unrolled.
Interesting.
I could always use more actual play in my life.
Yeah, I wonder who else is going to be in it and what the vibe is going to be.
Yeah.
I know Luis I might be getting my wires crossed. There's so many different things, but I think he was like a DM for Matt for a very long time.
Oh, feels like that's a true detail, but I don't know enough to confirm or deny it. It's like when someone says something. This is called. My wife told me she like took a college class on like all these like different biases and stuff, and that's called something like when someone says something that's vaguely familiar, and there's enough there that you believe it. Like, oh yeah, that is true, but you don't actually have the evidence to support it.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, he did, because it ticks a box in my brain, I guess. But anyway,
I think that bias is being largely abused in our current society.
Let's keep the vibes up.
Yeah.
Well, wrapping up our stream today, I know you got a birthday coming up here in 2 weeks from yesterday.
That's true, yeah.
You'll be the old 37.
Yeah, I never remember how old I am, so you have to remind me.
I like how I think it's right. I think it's 37. You get to an age where you're like, oh, I'm not going to be the guy who's like, well, how old am I? But then you like legitimately, it's like, what? I don't remember. So
I truly do not. Like, I have to sit there and like calculate years if somebody really asks me. And it's not because like I forget, but like there's been no reason to like keep track after 21.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, there's nothing really like you unlock or anything.
Yeah. And you begin in a tavern said, Will, I turned 36 this year, and had to confirm that fact. So no worries. Speaking of, you begin in a tavern. We were chatting the other day about maybe doing like a little stream with him, talking about some DM advice, some DM tactics. I love how I sprung this on you without actually talking to you about it. Because it could have been, oh no, we can't do that. Yeah. And Alitas, Jake, I totally forgot to actually pass this along till right this moment. But we've had a lot of good D&D chatter in the Discord, and Jake seems reasonable enough to have some insight on this, considering he has his own YouTube channel on an actual play series. And Larissa said, I just remembered I'm 38 a month ago. Been telling people I was 37 for a year. I got to tell you, there's no worse feeling in life than realizing you're a year older than you've been telling people. And then just being like, oh, I'm speaking personally. I'm like, I'm one year older of a failure of like all the things I didn't accomplish. So,
Shut up.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up. Man, we don't have a lot of content coming. We'll have Worlds Beyond next week, or probably next week or something. We just had a new episode drop.
Both listened to it already.
Yeah, so we got Worlds Beyond coming. Other than that, I'm sure we'll have kind of like a Divergence wrap-up discussion. That'll probably be next week as well. And then I think stay tuned to the Discord. We'll have to do some events this spring and summer. I have a lot of ideas I'm cooking.
Yeah, I mean, we should definitely bring back the watch parties, if nothing else, in the interim before C4.
Yeah, for sure.
Just spitballing here, but even to just keep the Thursday night camaraderie. I can never say this word. Camaraderie.
That's right. You got it.
Even to keep that Thursday night going, because we're not going to have Thursday nights for a while, I guess.
Well, the thing is, though, I was thinking about this because I was like, if we bring back the watch parties, would we do it on Thursday night? And I thought the only issue is we don't know CR's programming,
True.
So if they're doing like Sam's mini series, let's say it's 4 episodes, that would be 4 Thursdays,
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, do we go back to Sunday or? But here's the deal with Sunday.
I think the weekends, or go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say the thing about Sunday is it got to a point where it was me, Will, and Glimmy, the three amigos, just enjoying stuff together. So
rocking out, yeah.
Yeah,
But I think either. I think weekends obviously a safe bet, but like if we knew there was like a 2-month drought of Thursdays, we could definitely put something there too.
That's true. All right, we all stay tuned to the Discord, and as always, thanks for tuning in today. I think that's